Hello, guys. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us today for 30 Days to Move In Live. We are so excited to have you guys joining us on campus this upcoming fall. 30 days is going to go quickly for us.
Right around the corner at this point.
We're excited. My name is Abby Snowden. I am the Assistant Director for Communications here at the Department of Housing and Residential Life. I am joined today by Micah Hussein.
Hey everybody, my name is Micah. I'm one of our Assistant Directors here within the Residential Experience Unit with Housing and Residential Life.
Perfect. Both of us are going to be co-chairs on our MoveIn experience this upcoming year. So we're going to be chatting with you about some of the logistics pieces, things that we need to do to prepare for the move-in process, and everything else that you guys might have. If you guys are in the chat currently, please make sure that you are dropping any questions that you have in the Q&A, and we will be responding to those towards the end of our session. And we also have a handy dandy friend in the background answering those live in the Q&A session. So if you do have any of those, make sure you're dropping that in there. But with that, we'll get started with a little bit of an overview of what our housing process is going to look like. So how are we preparing for the move-in piece right now? At this time, you should be able to go into your housing portal and view that housing assignment in there. Once you have that housing assignment available, you will be able to go in and schedule a move-in appointment. Some important pieces to know there that each resident is going to require a move-in appointment. So we don't do that by room, we do it by each individual student. So please make sure that if your roommate has signed up for a time, that you have also signed up for a time there. Again, that is available in the housing portal. That is going to be the same place where you completed that housing contract. Next, if you want to take a look at that move-in guide, we have given you guys some great materials if you have attended new student orientation so far. If you want to pick up a physical copy, if you still have not attended new student orientation, this will be available for you guys at the help desk that is outside of the LBJ Grand Ballroom, as well as at the browse session on day 2 for new student orientation. But essentially, we'll be walking through some of these pieces for the move-in guide, some important questions. Basically, we based everything based on our frequently asked questions that we get about move-in to break it down a little bit more simply for you guys. We also have this as a virtual version on our MoveIn website. So if you guys are wanting to follow along with us, or you're just wanting to get a digital copy of that to your computer, please feel free to go ahead and take a look at our MoveIn website. We can drop that link in the chat as well to take a look at that. Important pieces as we're kind of moving through this. Please make sure that you're checking your Bobcat mail. So if you've attended new student orientation, you should have access to your Bobcat mail already. We will be sending any important communications to you guys via that Bobcat mail. So important if we need anything from you, if we have any updates to the process for you guys, that you are checking that Bobcat mail regularly and keeping up to date with those pieces. Finally, we're going to get ready for move-in. Again, we're only 30 days away now, which is just crazy. The time has flown, but we're super excited, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that process looks like here. So in that move-in guide, something that's going to be super duper helpful. I know that a lot of people love to have this in a physical version so they can check those checklists off. But we do have a recommended packing list. So as we are preparing, we do have things that are recommended versus prohibited items that we should be bringing into the residence hall. So if you are not even sure where you are going to start preparing for move-in, this is really a great place for you guys to take a look at that. Important pieces with this, please make sure that you are checking the size of your bed as you are going and buying some of those pieces for your bedroom. We do have a variety of different sizes of beds that are going to be available to view what size your specific residence hall's bed is on our move-in website as well. Each of our residence halls is going to have their own individualized web page to be able to view details, including furniture, photos. We've got these really cool virtual tours that you can take a look at on there, and it will also give you what size your bed is for that space. So as you're taking a look at that recommended packing list, please go ahead and take a look at your residence hall's individualized web page so that you can find some additional details about what you should or maybe shouldn't pack as you are coming in. Again, important to consider what furniture is included in that space so that you have a good idea of what you're going to be bringing in there.
Yep, and like Abby said, it's really a one-stop shop for everything as it relates to the actual move-in process with your specific hall and all those super things. So you really want to make sure that you are visiting that website beforehand, as we'll talk about some of those routing and different things will be in there as well. So for any questions that you may have, that's the first place to start to give you all that good information.
So we'll get started with that move-in process and what that kind of looks like as far as logistics are going. We do have a centralized move-in process here at Texas State University. So that means that we are all going to start over at UFCU Stadium. And from there, we will talk through what that looks like at the stadium and then how we're going to send you guys back to the residence halls to get to those unloading zones and make that move-in happen.
Yes, we'll have a big map that we'll show here along with a couple pictures as well as we go through the next couple slides to really make sure that you have a good visual for for what to expect during the actual move-in day. But as you can see, really for us, move-in day, whether you're coming northbound or southbound down the highway, it will start for us on Robbie Lane. That is our main area in which we'll start entering and welcoming cars within to the actual move-in lots. You can see a great picture there. We have some more cars starting to line up right where those tents are. We'll have some of our staff members coming up and down from those tents welcoming you. We'll talk a little bit about what each of these lots will look like. But you can see something that's super important for us is just to make sure you're arriving no more than 15 minutes prior to your actual scheduled move-in time. We only have the capacity within our lot to hold the folks that we have signed up for that time. So if you come early, whether that be a few hours or over that 15 minutes, we will unfortunately not welcome you in to the actual unloading zone and parking area. There's plenty of lovely spaces around the San Marcos community, whether you're going to the Target or some of our local shopping areas to get some of those last minute items that you need for move-in. If you do end up early, all those things will be great additions, but you want to make sure that as you get right about 15 minutes, that's when we'll start opening up the lot and welcoming our folks in for your particular time area. Like Abby talked about, we'll actually navigate through the UFCU stadium. We'll have two separate staging lots you'll see here in just a second. Essentially, like we said, we'll kind of get you there. We'll make sure to be able to sort you out by your actual hall, and then we'll slowly help you navigate to a hall. We really close campus specifically and shut down certain roads to make sure you have a one shot right to your hall and make that navigation as easy as possible, as you'll see here in a few minutes. And then as you get to the actual hall, you'll have time to unpack your car. We'll talk a little bit about some of those pieces, relocation, and everything like that. As we move on to the next slide, though, you'll see, again, like we talked about, just a little reaffirmation of kind of how we're coming in through either northbound or southbound down the I-35. Really, you'll be able to get off on that Ocarina Springs Drive. You'll be able to take a left down Thorpe Lane, and then you'll head right into that lovely star where Robbie Lane will begin your actual journey with us towards move-in. Again, it's super important that you make sure that you're following this way. Again, you're going this specific routing through Ocarina Springs, down through Thorpe Lane. We've worked with our lovely city of San Marcos to make sure, again, we are routing and focusing our different roads to make sure we are providing that access and entry for our community members as well as you all for our lovely move-in. You can see there's absolutely no entry that we have on the top of the screen there around Ocarina Springs, as you will not have any cars actually going there. So again, definitely check that move-in website, check your hall's website before you actually end up leaving the halls. We'll have some different ways for you to navigate as well, but it'll be critical to make sure that we're following the street to make sure we can get you straight through into Robbie Lane. And I'll hand it over to Abby. Again, we'll talk a little bit about our staging lots, what that looks like. So we'll start over with lot one.
Perfect. So as you kind of saw in that last picture, there are two staging lots that are going to be surrounding UFCU Stadium. So on our left-hand side of UFCU Stadium is where we're going to start. Again, if you're unfamiliar with the San Marcos area, we're going to be located directly behind the large HEB. So that is where our journey is going to start. Staging lot one is what I'm going to discuss, and then we'll send it over to the Residence Hall staging lot, which would be staging lot two over on the other side of UFCU Stadium. So staging lot one, this is where our handy dandy, oh, look at that. Can you Vanna White it for me? It's upside down.
Gosh, let's try that again.
You're fired for being Vanna White today. So these are our lovely move-in time hang tags. So something that you guys are going to have as soon as you have scheduled that move-in time in the housing portal is going to be these wonderful move-in time hang tags. So those are going to auto-populate into your housing portal at any time after you've scheduled your specific time. Please feel free to go in there and print out your move-in time hang tags. You will notice on there when you are taking a look at them in the portal that there are some directions on the top side of it on how we need you guys to kind of display and have these ready to go for the day of. So again, just making sure that you are cutting these out properly. We will have the dates and times specifically right here for you guys so that our team of volunteers knows who is supposed to be there at what time. You might notice that the 8 on this one is very, very large, but this is an 8:30 time. Please do not be deterred by the giant 8. It still says 8:30 right here. This is just for our volunteers for some visibility. I know that sometimes it's hard for us to see from far distances and hard for us to see through some tinted windshields and stuff like this. This just makes it easier for our team as far as visibility goes. We know what time you are supposed to be there, so please just make sure that this is hanging in the rearview mirror of your car as you are arriving to Robbie Lane. That is how our team will know how to direct you into that space and know that you are there at the correct date and time. So with that, as soon as you have gotten through Robbie Lane and you're there no more than 15 minutes earlier to your scheduled move-in time, we will put you in staging lot one. Again, this is where our time hang tags are going to be exchanged for our residence hall hang tags. Each residence hall will have its own individualized name tag. So it is so, I love it. It is so important that you guys know which residence hall you are going to be moving into on the day of. Something that I like to tell my friends at new student orientation is to write the name of your residence hall on the back of that time hang tag. We do have a 2-car maximum coming to the staging lot. So if you, the student, are in 1 car and your family, friends, anybody that you might have brought with you is in that secondary car, it's super important that everybody in your party knows where you're going to be moving into. We get a lot of, oh, I'm moving into one and it starts with a C. We've got a couple of those, whether that is Castro or Chautauqua, when we want to make sure that we're sending you to the correct residence hall. So pro tip, if you just want to write that on the back of your time hang tag to remember where you guys are heading on the day of, that will be super important because we will ask you which residence hall you are moving into. You'll see in our lovely picture right here, we have our volunteers. They will go up to you. They will ask you, hey, where are we heading to today? That is when we will exchange that time hang tag for that residence hall hang tag. We'll show you some visuals for our visual learners. Again, important things about time hang tags. I want to reiterate again, print those prior to your arrival. You will need them to be able to enter that first staging lot. We will have a 2-car maximum, and just as a reminder, that is printed on the top of that time hang tag as well. So please make sure that you bring no more than 2 vehicles to your reserved time. You will need to hang that in the rearview mirror. Make sure that it is facing outwards. Sometimes we have some friends who put it inwards. We need to be able to see it from the outside of the car. And then remember that name of your residence hall. Again, here's some visuals for those residence hall hang tags as well. We will exchange those for your time hang tags. Those QR codes you might have noticed on the bottom of these are going to be a super handy dandy way for you guys to route following your time at UFCU Stadium. So something that is really cool is that we have an individualized MoveIn webpage as well for each of our residence halls. So we have routes that are going to direct you through some of those road closures that Micah mentioned on campus. So this is going to be a super great resource for you. If you are somebody who likes to plan and prepare ahead, please feel free to go on our MoveIn webpage right now. You can actually view any of those routes and they are available on our website. But just as a backup, in case you're coming with us on the day of and you want to have a little fresher reminder of it, we'll have that QR code for you guys to be able to scan once we have given that to you.
Yeah.
You'll notice too that these are colorful. So we've got Gaillardia right here and we've got Alameda Micah is displaying. They are color coded to the routes that we are going to be sending you through on campus. So all of our green tags are going to follow the green route through campus. All of the yellow tags are going to follow the yellow route through campus. And the blue tags are going to follow the
blue route.
Got it. Killing it. Again, visual learners right here, if you want to take a look at some of our photos of what we have taken from last year. This is going to be the first parking lot. Again, we're going to line you up in all of these rows based on the time. So everybody in this photo would be somebody who is here for a specific 90-minute time window. From that time, we are going to send you over to the second lot, and that's where we're going to organize you by your residence halls. Just another visual, we have an amazing student worker who created these renderings from a vertical view, which is super cool. So you'll see that we have a bunch of different lanes we are going to fill you guys into. From there, we'll have volunteers walking up and down, asking you again which residence hall you will be moving into and exchanging those time hang tags for that move-in hang tag with the residence hall information.
Yes, and from there you'll transition into our staging lot number 2. Like Abby said, you can see one of our lovely Texas State volunteers is here. We have some of our very large 20-foot hall flutter flags. Each one will have the hall name on it as well. So our staff will be using these lovely colored hang tags with your actual hall name and will navigate you into those particular lanes. So you can see a big tower one right up front there. Any of our friends with our yellow tower hang tag will be routed into that actual holding lane right there. As space opens up in your physical hall in your unloading zone, we'll have some staff that will welcome you out of our actual lot 2 and then bring you right to our residential hall. For us, it's super important to make sure that you're not waiting or caught in traffic on the way from our staging lot over to our hall. So we will hold you we'll get you in that 90-minute time window, but we will hold folks for a few minutes just to make sure we're not overcrowding the halls. And by the time that you get there, you can pull up right in front of your hall in building. So this is a really critical juncture point to make sure that we can send you right directly to the hall as that space opens up. Like Abby said, that'll definitely be the time in which you'll want to use those QR codes and have them locked in to your actual routing. We already have some pre-routed maps on our website as well, through some of our Google Maps functioning and everything like that. Our recommendation is making sure that you're following that one specifically, again, because we'll have some of our roads closed down in our specific routes through campus, which might not be the normal or standard way you'd enter that building during the academic year. So again, as you get those routes, you wouldn't want to alter them in any way, and you want to follow them in the way in which we kind of built those things out for you. And again, we'll have those on the QR code website. So there'll be a handful of different ways you'll be able to access that through. And like we'll see in a few minutes, there's also some signs that are color coded as well, just to help kind of the visual folks be able to make it to the hall. But as we go through, again, you'll see a couple different slides that'll again just give you a breakdown in some of our lovely 3D renders. We'll be able to fit every single one of our residential halls in our staging lot too. So you can see if you don't see your flutter flag in those first few cars, we're going to keep passing you all the way down until we get you into our actual lot itself. There's a great overhead view that you could see. We really maximize our space, and we use 100% of that lot where we can to make sure that we're welcoming in all of our family members. Really, our goal in this area as well is if you are with your family member in those two cars, that we will send you collectively together, so families are arriving to the halls at the same time. So no worries, no frets there. Our staff is really well trained to make sure that we're able to push folks out kind of collectively together to make sure that you're unloading at the same time. This is definitely spaces in which you'll stay in your car for the duration of the period as well. Just to make sure that we're being safe for everybody. And again, you won't have to wait there too long before we shoot you on out to your hall and zones. We're very strategic, like we said, of making sure we don't flood one side of campus, right, and have no space and availability. So there is a method to the madness of how we're sending folks through the halls. So again, as cars are leaving and coming or going, you're welcome, again, to just hang out in the car, keep nice and cool until we're able to get you directly to the hall.
I'll add to that as well, Mike. I think it's super important that as we are moving through both of these spaces that we're listening to volunteer directions. Again, these are very well-trained volunteers who are all very excited to be welcoming you home to Texas State. And they are going to be the ones who are directing you through each of these spaces. So again, if somebody is telling you to hold in a certain location, directing you down a lane, please make sure that you are following those volunteer directions. It's going to be super critical to getting you there at the correct place at the correct time. So as Micah kind of discussed, and as we kind of touched on earlier, again, we are going to have color coded routes that are going to be color coordinated to the color of your residence hall hang tag. So example we have right here is San Jacinto. For any of our friends who are over there, shout out San Jacinto. We're going to be following the yellow route through campus. So again, it's super critical that you guys are not using any sort of mapping software such as Google Maps or Apple Maps. Again, there are going to be plenty of road closures across campus, one-way roads, barricades, and things like that, so that we can control that flow of traffic through campus, as Micah said. So if you are going to either San Jacinto or Tower, congratulations. This is the route that you are going to be following. We have given you this and should be a good visual for you. Again, one of the big splits that we're going to have is on University Drive. So whether you are going northbound or you are going southbound, please make sure that you are following the directions that we have set forth. Again, I know that sometimes the Google Maps on this one is going to send you down University Drive and try to send you up in between San Jacinto and Tower Hall. That is not the direction that we need you guys to go. Just because there will be road closures right there, you will not be able to access that from the south side of campus. So again, you're going to follow that up Sesame and come straight down Comanche, where we will have our one-way roads kind of directing you into that space. There are going to be signs all across campus that are going to match this yellow color of your residence hall hang tag, just like this. So again, San Jacinto and Tower are both going to be different versions of a yellow color. Again, same thing, you're just going to follow that yellow route, and you might notice this photo of two of our lovely resident assistants who work over at Tower Hall with an example of what one of those big yellow signs looks like. Again, we're going to have things that are 8 feet tall. We're going to have things that are 6 feet tall. It is going to be a lot of directional signage just in case you do get lost or are not familiar with the campus or the area at all. So it is going to be a very hopefully easy way for you guys to navigate through campus if you are unfamiliar. But with that,
So we have a video of what kind of the move-in experience will look like on that day. So let's all kind of check it out and take a look at what move-in looks like for us on campus.
let's make sure we got volume on this. Love that.
Awesome. Yes, maybe you're lucky enough, you'll have the VIP in our President Kelly Danfus coming through and really making sure to help and welcome some of our folks in. He'll pop in all around campus. It's really awesome to see Dr. Danfus through there. So maybe be one of the lucky halls that'll see him on one of your 3 days coming in the move in.
We've had a lot of really great volunteers. Honestly, we'll have some faculty and staff members from all across the university that are going to be there welcoming you guys to campus. So you might see some familiar faces. Maybe you see your faculty member who's going to be teaching you your psychology class at the unloading zone. Maybe you'll see them at your residence hall. Maybe you'll see them at the parking lot. But please feel free to chat with them. They're excited to welcome you guys home, and we're always excited to have our favorite people, the Danfuses around campus, kind of welcoming our students as well. So,
but what you saw there is just kind of a short little glimpse of what we'll talk about next is the unloading zone. So again, after you leave that second staging lot, you'll be routed straight to your actual zone. As you can see, we'll have some of our lovely staff members with our resident assistants and our residence hall directors being able to welcome you right there as you pull up directly to your hall. You can see in this lovely picture as well, we'll have some of our actual move-in carts that we'll have available. We make sure to have one available for every single resident during each of our actual move-in times. And so you'll see our students will be able to start helping you guys get into the actual hall. Some things that we really want to emphasize here is one, you'll have 15 minutes to unload your car and then be able to relocate to a designated parking space. That's not 15 minutes to unload or to do your entire move-in process, right? What's super important to us is making sure that you get everything in one of those carts. You can keep that with a family member or with the students, so then you can go park your car permanently, and then you'll have the rest of the day to be able to actually unpack and move into there. What you'll really want to do is make sure that you're sending your student, or if you're the resident, you're running straight into that hall so we can get you checked in. That's where you'll get your room key, some of the other things that you'll need to start setting up. So for our family members and our guests and folks that are helping to just start unloading that car, that'll be super helpful. And then bring a dolly or some personal items if you do have larger things that you're trying to unload very quickly or get out of your car. Again, we'll have a few of those on hand in the actual hall itself, but the more you're able to bring to help you kind of get things out of the car and then get that thing moved will help as we start talking about then unpacking and getting comfortable in the hall.
Yeah, so once you have gotten that vehicle relocated during that 15-minute window, you guys are going to be able to spend as much or as little time as you would like getting ready and making that space feel like your home. Again, I think that sometimes there's a little bit of confusion with some of the time periods that we do send out. So those 90-minute windows that we are giving you for that move-in time is just to say that this is the time that we have gotten you into UFCU Stadium and then over to that unloading zone to be able to complete that piece of the process. So again, this is not restricted by a 90-minute window. Once you guys have gotten into that hall, that 90 minutes again is just to get you from that first lot at UFCU Stadium over to the residence hall and unloading. And then that 15 minutes there in front of the building is going to be so that you can unload those pieces and get that up to your residence hall space. Following that, there is not a restricted amount of time. Again, I know that people like to take their time, make that space feel like their home. It's super duper important for you guys to be able to make that feel like a space that you want to live in. So we totally encourage you guys staying there and spending as much time as you would like to making that feel like your new home. Super important with this is make sure that you're discussing any furniture layouts with your roommates or your suite mates. Say that you are the first person that is moving into that space. We want to make sure that we're not rearranging the room and making that not conducive to our friends who are going to be moving in the future. We will have a standard layout for the way that the rooms are going to be set up when you first move in. So if you want to have that discussion now with your roommates or your suite mates or anything like that, make sure that you're talking about that so you can maybe set those up as you are moving through on that move-in day. Important pieces as well. Most of our beds are going to be those loftable style beds. So if you are wanting to loft your bed, we will all have them set at a standard kind of medium height. If you're wanting to loft that bed, that is a 2-person job. So make sure that you bring a friend or you have somebody there to help you out and make sure that you can loft that bed together. We will have some rubber mallets, as Micah said, some materials for you guys to be able to help loft that bed. But if you are interested in kind of seeing what the process of what a lofted bed looks like, super easy process as long as you have that friend and that rubber mallet. That video is available on our website and on our YouTube channel as well if you are wanting to take a look at that tutorial. Another side note right here. So once you have gotten in and you are starting to kind of make that space feel like home, please feel free to come and go as you please. But an important note here is that if you are going to be leaving and going to HEB, or our brand new IKEA that just opened today, which is so exciting. Please note that you won't be able to get into that unloading zone. We will be having movement from that 7 a.m. time period to past 5 p.m. So that unloading zone will constantly be in use as we are moving people through there. You will have to go and park in any of our designated parking spots for move-in, and be able to go and walk any of those materials that you are purchasing back to your residence hall space from there.
Yes, I think else helpful to note as well is, again, we'll have family members and guests coming through to help students unpack as you're feeling comfortable in the hall. Again, we know we have that 2-car maximum for our actual lot itself. Again, if you don't have anything in your car and you have nothing to unload, you can go straight to one of those designated parking areas and meet your student at the hall. The unloading zones and the actual staging lot itself is only for folks that are packed full with cars. Again, if you have some family members, guests, or other folks that are coming along the way and want to be part of the journey, we absolutely want to welcome them in some of our actual designated parking areas, and they're able to help assist in that process as well. So it looks like at this point we are wrapped up with all of our formal slides here. So we'll use the remaining time that we have to answer any lingering questions. Again, we know we've had some Q&A kind of going on in the background. So we'll kind of shout out any major questions that we have from here, and take those.
Wonderful. Our lovely back and plus person has given us some questions right here. So some of the questions that we're getting right now, where are we picking up that timing tag? So your student should be able to log into the housing portal now. And once they have scheduled that move-in time, you should be able to view that in the housing portal. It should auto-populate based on what you have registered for. It might take a minute for it to load once you've scheduled that, or if you go in and reschedule anything. But it should be available in the housing portal for you guys to be able to access at any time. And have that easy to print. So say you lose that email, or your student has not checked their Bobcat mail, which they should be checking their Bobcat mail. They can go ahead and check that in the housing portal. Are the parking spots on campus available all day only for 90 minutes?
Yes, that's a great question. So again, the only thing that is time limited to 90 minutes is that actual move-in time, as Abby talked about. That'll begin at the UFCU stadium and that will end once you get your car unloaded. So we have our large parking areas, our parking garages, some of our other areas on campus. If your student has got one of those lovely parking passes as well, they should have some directions of where they can park during the normal academic year. Again, right outside of our halls, we'll have some of our parking there closed because we'll use that as an actual unloading zone. But in those large parking areas that you might have seen during your time here with NSO or some of the other visits you may have made to campus will be open and available. We'll have some different signages as we work and collaborate with our folks over there in our Texas State Parking to make sure that we note if a parking garage is open, if there's other parking available around campus. But there's no particular time limit on any of those different pieces. Again, we want to make sure that you have the time, as long as you're parked legally in one of those actual spaces, to make sure you're able to help your students set up. So no particular time limited on some of those places. We have a number of paid park spots around campus as well. So just depending on where you park, there might be some different things there, but we'll have plenty of spaces open all around campus as well. Something that's super great to note as well, as we get to the end of our second day, middle of our third day, a lot of our parking spaces will fill up. So we'll have some alternative parking over at our Mill Street lot, which is near our Bobcat Village apartments. We will have a transit bus going all of 3 days during that move-in time to help some family members get from Bobcat Village area over to the main part of campus, with obviously a couple of stops along the way at some of the key points in residential halls. So if you don't find a permanent parking spot right close to the residence hall, we'll have some other places and some shuttles that'll get you back and forth as well. So we really try. We know it's going to be hot out there and it's going to be a lot of work for our families and students moving in. So we try the best that we can to provide you guys with as much ability to get to and from the halls as easily as possible.
Please note that our parking will go back to regular operations on that Tuesday. So again, if you are parking there for that Monday move-in, please note that you will need to relocate that vehicle to somewhere where you are permitted. So say that you are a resident using that green parking pass, please make sure that you have relocated to that green parking space. Other pieces with that, we do have maps that are on the routes designating where some of those larger parking areas are. Again, as Micah said, you might not be able to park in the space that is nearest you as we kind of fill up those spaces with our 10,000 students moving in. But please note that that service is available for you to be able to shuttle back and forth from the P9 parking lot or over from that Mill Street parking lot. We will be aiding there. Can guests enter the residence hall? Are they required to leave after a certain point? Again, we do not restrict our guests from leaving at any certain point. Again, once you have gone in and created that check-in process and you are good to go, you're making that space feel like home, you will be able to stay in there and make that space your own really for as long as you'd like to. Again, I encourage you guys to take that time and make it feel like you're home.
So the only thing we'll encourage is that you obviously stay with your family members, you stay with your student to go to the designated hall and things like that. Again, as folks are moving in, again, we'll have folks kind of coming and going from the hall. We want to make sure at the end of the day, we're keeping you and your items safe. And so you want to always make sure that you're around those items, things like that, and with your student as you're navigating the hall. But outside of that, again, we want you to come in, make that space feel like home. We feel super comfortable. This is your time with your students. So please take as much of that as you would like as you get settled.
We're driving a truck with a small U-Haul trailer. Will I have to relocate the truck and the trailer after I unload? Are we able to bring a cargo trailer? So we're getting some U-Haul questions and some cargo back of house pieces.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So some of our unloading zones, depending on where you're at in the hall, again, we might put you in a slightly different spot to be able to make sure that you're get in there and be able to actually unload that U-Haul itself, to be able to get those items within the hall. Some of our trailers, we always have at least a few U-Hauls and trailers that come every single year. So we work the best that we can to accommodate some folks within there, especially if people are kind of getting all together in one vehicle or two. So we'll work as best we can to get you actually unloaded in there. Same rules would apply as you're parking that U-Haul or trailer pieces. You'll just want to find obviously a legal parking spot around campus that you're able to put some of those things in. Honestly, for our U-Hauls and our bigger trucks like that, again, some of our larger parking areas further from campus will give you the most amount of space. And then, like I said, being able to take a bus or transit to get back on campus will probably be the safest bet for you all. But we'll make sure, as long as your vehicle can fit in our unloading zone, we will bring it in and get you all set up. Again, our team is pretty well prepared and trained for cars of all kind of different sizes. So we'll work to accommodate everything that we can.
Absolutely. As you are preparing for that as well, if you are bringing that U-Haul trailer, please do try to refrain from doing so. If you can fit all of those pieces into your vehicle, that will make this process a lot easier.
Yes.
You will be navigating some sharp turns. You will be navigating some narrow roads. So we do see that there is a challenge a lot of the time with people who are driving those U-Haul trailers, making those tight turns. And those spaces are quite limited as far as residential spaces go. So if you are overloading and bringing a whole 2 cars full of stuff, and then you're bringing an additional trailer with that, chances are that we are overpacking. So things I like to say to leave at home are those winter clothes. Anything that you haven't worn in the past year, you think you're going to wear those shoes that you have not seen since last year. I encourage you guys not to bring those. If you have anything that you might want to bring, again, on winter break, once we go home for that kind of intercession for Thanksgiving, or for that winter break, that is that time. If you are missing any pieces, like those winter clothes, jackets, things like that, that's when I encourage those students to bring some of those pieces that maybe we didn't bring on that first time around. It is hot in San Marcos. I don't know if you've been here in the summertime, but it is very warm and you will not be needing that winter jacket those first few months that you are here on campus. So please encourage your student or encourage yourselves to go ahead and pack as lightly as you can. You can always bring some additional things or purchase some pieces as you are coming in here.
Yeah. And like Abby said, we will be done with our move-in process at about a little bit after 5 on Monday. And so we will clear out the halls and all those different parking areas. So if you're somewhere closer around and want to make a trip back home on the weekend at any particular time, you're able to then bring some additional items once you kind of get settled. But again, I think definitely folks kind of overpack sometimes or don't really understand those spaces until they get in there and start putting all things in. So it's always good to have kind of a set bringing of things that you want, and then you always come back and forth from some of our different break areas or just on a weekend to bring any additional items that you may want or really be needing.
Of course. Something else that I really want to share with you guys that might be very important is going to be the wonderful resources that we have available on our housing website. So if you guys are unfamiliar with what our housing website looks like, we do have a ton of resources available for you guys there. Something cool that we have done in this just past year that has been really helpful for our students is the creation of some virtual tours. So we went into actual student spaces and we recorded some virtual tours for you guys to be able to go ahead and take a look at what those spaces look like, what they feel like, and kind of take a look at what it means to walk around one of those spaces. So I will share my screen right here and see if we can take a look at
one of those spaces looks like. Do a little walk around from the screen.
Oh, I do love a walk around.
Yeah, and like Abby said, this will give you a really good idea of what your room looks like. She'll show you can take some measurements of the room specifically, so you can be pretty prepared before even walking in that room of exactly what will fit in there and what you're able to kind of have in that space.
So as we mentioned earlier, I'll go back to this main page right here. We do have an individualized residence hall page for each and every single one of our residence halls. So I've seen a couple questions in the chat right here. If you are interested in if your bed can be lofted, what size bed your room has, what are some of the other measurements for the furniture that is required or that is provided in your hall. All of that is going to be available on these individualized web pages. So for an example, I'm going to throw on some Alameda Hall right here. So again, we'll have some lovely pictures of what that community looks like, a general overview of what that space is. So again, your hall address, that'll be important if you are going to be sending any information or packages and things like that to your student here. What we're talking about here as far as virtual tours, this is a really great opportunity, again, to see what an actual student space looks like. I know that it's super fun to come to new student orientation, but you do get to see some of those more bare spaces as our residents have moved out. But really great option right here to be able to walk through some of our spaces. If you take a look, you can click on each of these little red dots that are going to be across the room. It'll give you some additional information and context for pieces. So again, if you want to know if blinds are included in each room, yes, they are included in the rooms. So please feel free to go and take a look, explore. It gives you some information about each of the different spaces. So again, each resident will have this size bed. We've tried to make it as detailed as possible on each of our residence hall pages for you guys to be able to experience. But say that I am wondering how tall I need to purchase a curtain for this great closet that we have right here. You'll notice that we have a student who has kind of covered that space up. You will have those curtain rods right here. You can kind of see that metal bar available. But if you take a look in this bottom left-hand corner, you will see a tape measure. It says measurements right here. If I take a look at that and click on measurements, I can use this little plus sign and say, hey, I would like to measure from this point right here at the top where this metal bar is to the bottom of the floor to see how long I need to order my curtains. So it'll give me a measurement for what that looks like there. And then I can go around and measure any other piece that I might like. So say that you have a very specific kind of measurement that you might want to do. I know that a lot of our friends over in Chautauqua and Gaillardia like to take a look at those puppy spaces and see what measurements they can pull from there. But this is a really great resource for you guys to be able to go and take a look at maybe what a space looks like if you were unable to come and see it during new orientation, or just to get some additional context of what kind of furniture other students are bringing into that space. Again, we encourage you to make that space feel like home. So whether you're bringing a rug or any additional furniture to make that space kind of feel like your home, we would encourage that highly. We'll have some things on here as well for the requirements for microwaves and mini fridges. I saw that we had a wonderful friend in here asking a question about our Blanco halls and what that kind of looks like for the mini fridges. So if you are in a Blanco triple, shout out to our friends over in Blanco. You as a group will be able to bring a 4.6 cubic foot fridge and a 2.5 cubic foot fridge, or each student will be able to bring their own individual 2.5 cubic foot fridge. With that, for the microwaves, you will still only be able to bring one microwave per suite. So please make sure that you are taking a look at the requirements as far as wattage and size for that.
Yes, absolutely. We'll take the next, again, just 3 minutes as we're wrapping up and answering some questions. So if you still have a lingering question, something that hasn't been answered, this is your time, drop it in the chat and we'll kind of get to the rest of our questions as we wrap up.
If our student is moving in Saturday, could we come again on Sunday to finish setting up?
Yes, again, like we said, there's no restriction on our guests coming in and out of the actual halls or communities themselves. Again, we're not going to make you go through the whole staging lot again if you've already been checked in and unloaded. Again, like we said, we'll ask you to go to one of our designated parking areas to be able to kind of park permanently, or like we talked about, parking in some of our further lots and having our bus transit you to actual campus proper, and then you'd be able to hang out with your student family member, finish setting up the next day if you'd like to, or doing some of those different things. So yes, you only have to go through the unloading zone one, or you only have to go through the staging lot, one singular time as you're doing your initial check-in unloading. We know for most of our families and guests, that's really the one big time that they get everything else. And then as we've talked about a couple times, you'll kind of get your odds and ends and kind of pick out and get everything else kind of throughout the weekend or as we go into the week. So there'll be plenty of space and time to be able to do that.
How do I get a bed rail?
How do you get a bed rail? That's a great question. So all of our front desks are going to be kitted out with some of those bed rails ready to go. We know that's something that's super interesting, or that's something that our residents super want within some of those halls. And so we're working to make sure that if residents want a bed rail, all you have to do is go to your actual front desk or talk to your resident assistant that's on your floor, and they'll be able to help assist you as you get settled and moved in. I think that's a great segue as well. You'll meet some of your resident assistants and your full-time residence director as you move into the building, as we kind of slow down and break down move-in operations for the day. They'll be kind of bouncing around the building, kind of checking in on folks as they're getting settled as well. Again, those are our staff members that are trained and able to help assist residents with any kind of issues or things like that that you have. So any questions that you may have about bed rails, about lofting beds, of just navigating the floor, and even like, where's my laundry room, and looking for some of those things. Again, our resident assistants are there to help support you through some of those things and help guide you through the hall. So you'll know your RA, they'll introduce themselves to you throughout those 3 days of move-in. So those are great people to ask all those super specific questions to as well as you get there. Or if you think of something else that you didn't even think of before, those will be the folks to go to. But we'll help assist you get some bed rails in that process as well.
Did get a question that says, how will I get to know my RAs? Do you want to talk a little bit about the community flyer and how we kind of get to know our in-house staff?
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked a little bit about that NSO. There's a couple different ways in which you'll get to know your RA. First off, as you actually enter the building itself and you do your check-in, one of the big things that you'll have is some of our community flyers that will, one, give you just some information about who your full-time hall director is in the team that supervises all of those RAs. Again, you'll see them, you'll interact with our RAs as soon as you enter the hall. Again, those will be the folks that are helping you get unloaded from your car, giving you some of our time tags, making sure you're doing those things. They'll be able to give you your key, check you in, and kind of get really excited for you as you're welcoming into the actual building itself. Like I talked about, it's really all hands on deck for our student staff members. So they'll be there welcoming all of our students each day. But really, as we wrap up just about after 5 each one of those days, our RAs, like I said, we'll be going around the buildings to be able to introduce themselves. You'll learn as well that we'll have some floor meetings that we'll do as we're really starting off our lovely Bobcat welcome week with some of our really exciting events. And so that will be the first formal time that you'll meet your RA. They'll be able to meet with everybody on the floor. They'll talk a little bit about just our community standards, making sure that you feel super comfortable. They'll talk about some of our safety and security pieces as well, and kind of go over what the week of welcome will look like as well, and make sure that we're escorting and getting folks to all those amazing events that we have. So there'll be plenty of time to meet your RA as you go through the building and kind of interact with our staff.
So we're getting a lot of questions about our lovely Castro Hall right now. So we did not mention at the beginning of this webinar. I know we really should have done that. We're recording live from Castro Hall right now. So if you guys are interested, this is kind of the first glimpse that we're really getting. We are coming to you live from one of our study areas. So as we kind of move furniture in, this is the first week that we're kind of moving some of those pieces into the bedroom areas. So as furniture comes in, we will be able to go ahead and take a look and take some pictures and get those posted onto the website for you guys to be able to go ahead and view those. Currently, we don't have the furniture quite in here yet, so there's just a little bit of a blank room for now. But as we get those things going, we will be sure to update you guys and send some pictures out to you. We'll post on social media. So if you guys are not already following us there, I would highly encourage you guys to take a look on there, because that is where we really dropped our first pictures of what that hall was going to look like. So highly encourage you guys to take a look at that. I'm hoping to have some updates on the website for you guys by the end of the month, so you guys can take a look and kind of prepare for that.
And as you can see, we're just on the finishing touches. We got the paint up, we got lights, we got all our Wi-Fi and AC. So again, we're just really getting in furniture and kind of finishing some of those odds and ends on the building. But we're going to be open and ready to go.
Super duper exciting. Wi-Fi is working clearly. We're making that work. Electricity's working. We're doing all the things.
Absolutely. I think my favorite part of being in this building and navigating is, again, just the view that you have of San Marcos and the entire campus. Once you get here, especially if you're on some of the higher floors, you'll really be able to probably just watch all the movement operations happen throughout the weekend. So we definitely have some cool spaces. We're excited for you all to check out and see what you get here.
Yes, I'm so excited for you guys to see these views from this side of campus. This is a very exciting time for us to be opening up a new building. So excited for y'all to see that as the things come out. We got a question about Falls and Sayers. Is there just one main kitchen in Falls, or are they on every floor? So a couple of our residence halls are going to be kind of communities that will share some of those amenities. So Falls and Sayers is going to be one of those. First by Freedom and Alina's and Laura O'Shea, Chautauqua and Gaillardia. Those complexes are going to share some of those community spaces. So those large kitchens where the refrigerators, ovens, stovetops, and all of those pieces are going to be are going to be in that same central kind of first where you walk into those spaces. So that'll be on the first floor. Some of them do have little study areas with kind of a wet area where you can use the sink and trash and a little bit of microwaves and things like that across the halls. But for the most part, that large scale kitchen is going to be in that community area.
Yeah. You'll see as well, particularly with fall stayers in most of our communities, we are in walking distance of some of our different eateries on campus and some of our dining halls. So you'll also be able to use that nice new Bobcat card that you have, go swipe it in at the dining hall and check out some of the food that you'll have there. So there'll be plenty of options for you to be able to cook some of those big meals and things like that in the hall, and then also walk right over to the dining hall and check out some of that as well.
Yeah. How do we hang things on the walls? Great question there. So we do not allow command strips in our residence halls because they do damage the paint quite severely. As we are going and moving those things out, we don't want to damage any of our walls and have to go back through there and fill some of those holes right there. So we highly encourage you guys to take some of those push pins. We encourage you to use some small nails. If you're hanging up things like posters, using some of that sticky tack putty to be able to hang those things on the walls. Again, tiny holes are fine. When we get with those command strips and we start ripping huge chunks of paint off the wall and drywall, that is where we kind of start to have those problems. People have gotten really creative with some of the things that they can do with those push pins and sticky tack and all of those good things. So highly encourage you to get creative with that.
Absolutely. Like we said, as we're kind of wrapping our way on up, if you have a question that has not been answered yet, feel free to go ahead and pop that in the chat as we make our way through, and we're working through some of those questions up front.
Are kitchens fully supplied, or do we need to bring pots, pans, and baking supplies?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you're welcome to bring any pots and pans and baking supplies that you'll be able to want and need. Our front desks in some of our kitchens that you'll be able to rent out some of the really basic like pots and pans, cookie sheet trays, some of those different spatulas and things like that. We kind of have a standard set across our rest halls of what you have and be able to rent out. Obviously, we have a limited amount of some of those things per person. So everyone can't use the same pot and pan at the same time. So anything that you'd want to bring, especially if you're someone that's super excited about cooking and want to do that a lot in the hall, that might be something that you do want to bring on your own. But we will have kind of a base standard set for all of our students to be able to kind of check out.
We have some questions about how to loft the beds. So again, encourage you to go ahead and take a look at that MoveIn webpage. We can drop that in the chat as well to be able to send that to you guys. We do have a video where our lovely facilities team has gone in and they have done an example of how to loft that bed for you guys. And that is super duper helpful when you are going in through and navigating that with a buddy. So we can drop that in the chat for sure.
And again, we really want to make sure that we emphasize that you're doing that with two people. It's really just for safety of yourself, right? We don't want anybody getting injured as you're lofting or lifting those beds. And again, if you're with those two people and you're not able to actually do it, that's totally okay and fine. We'll ask you to wait until kind of our move-in weekend settles down. You'll be able to work with your RA, submit a work order for folks that aren't able to get those things, and we'll be able to kind of help you, and our facilities team will be able to come in after. Again, we've been able to welcome all of our move-in folks as well if you're having issues or anything with the bed. So don't worry if it becomes a super big stressor at the end. Again, just keep your bed at the lofted state that it's in, and some of our facilities team will be able to help you as we start kicking off welcome week.
Wonderful. So we are getting a question about lots of different things. So with our hang tags, again, I'll reiterate that the time hang tag should be available for you guys in the housing portal. Once you have scheduled that move-in time, it might take a second for that to auto-populate in there, but it should auto-populate for you in there before your move-in time, obviously, but you should be able to access that in the housing portal. So again, that same location where you guys are going in and signing that housing contract where you have gone through and done your preferences for all of these pieces, that will be available in the housing portal for you guys. Lots of questions about things that may or may not be allowed in the halls. Highly encourage you guys to take a look at our Move-in guide, again, that is available on our website. I just dropped a link for the move-in page. So if you guys want to take a look at the move-in guide there, it will have a list of prohibited items for our residence halls, things that we encourage you to leave at home. That will be things like candles, air fryers, things that might have any sort of open flame object that could cause fires in our halls, which is not what we want. Again, encourage you guys to use those community kitchens if you are wanting to do any sort of cooking in there for some good ventilation and making sure that that is good to go in there. You will also have a meal plan, so encourage you guys to take a look at some of our other options on campus, whether you are going to Harris Dining Hall on the west side of campus or you're going to Commons over on the east side of campus. Central area, highly encourage you guys to try a variety of our different options. Lots of fun things happening in our dining halls for sure.
I know I'm waiting for the omelet bar to open back up and get right on that, so.
I'd love to go to Einstein's first. It's the best. Is toilet paper provided in our shared bathroom halls? What about hand soap?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in all of our community style restrooms, and some of our semi-private restrooms, again, we will have custodian and facility staff that go in there on a daily, weekly basis. Toilet paper and some of those basic toiletries like that are provided. We obviously refill all of our hand soaps and different things throughout the hall. So you'll see a couple of different times that one of our facilities or custodial members may shut down that bathroom just temporarily as they get in there to refill some of those amenities and be able to clean up some of our different bathroom spaces and things like that. So you'll see that throughout. Now, if you're in a privatized bathroom area, I'm thinking of like our Blancos, I'm thinking of our folks at San Jack that have that bathroom within the room themselves. Those are spaces in which obviously you'll bring in your toiletries and different things. Our facilities and custodial members will not enter a student's room to clean their privatized bathroom space area or that like that. So if you're in any space that's not a community style bath, you want to be able to bring those. But yes, if it's somewhere else where you're sharing that bath as a communal space with some of our other folks, we'll make sure to provide all of those different toiletry needs as you're welcome to enter and exit those spaces.
Chatting a little bit about our laundry options. So in case you guys have not heard, laundry is included within your housing fee already. So gone are the days of bringing some of those coins and cards and forgetting that you've left something upstairs and then having to go and grab those coins. All of our laundry facilities are going to allow you to just use them. That housing fee has already included the option. So I highly encourage you to do as much laundry, and I emphasize as much laundry as you would like to do. Our only requirement with our laundry machines is to bring that HE laundry detergent. Again, we will not be providing that, but make sure that you're bringing that with you. Anything that you need as far as dryer sheets. And yeah, you should be good to go with all that laundry.
Yeah, for folks new to Texas State, we kitted out all of our washers and dryers. We got brand new ones just about 2 years ago. So they're relatively fresh and up and running. Again, we have a really great vendor that we work with to make sure that those things are functioning. And if they ever break down, that we get those things fixed as quickly as possible. So we have some great washers and dryers. Like Abby said, do as much laundry as you want. There is no holding back aside from the amount of detergent that you got.
Some pieces as we're wrapping up right here. We just talked a little bit about maintenance and making sure that things are good to go on the day of move-in. So as you are coming in, should you encounter any sort of maintenance facilities issues as you are going through that move-in process, please just feel free to let us know as you are going through that check-in process. We will also be giving you guys community flyers, as we talked a bit about earlier, to be able to get you guys connected with some resources. So important pieces about how to connect to our Wi-Fi, how to submit a maintenance request, what does that mean to live in a residence hall. So we're going to sign a roommate agreement. We'll talk a little bit about that as part of our floor meetings as we are moving in. So if you are wanting to get familiar with how to submit a maintenance request, all of those pieces will be available on that community flyer as you guys are moving in, just to get you familiar with some resources as we are getting moved into the halls, which is very exciting.
Yes, and I'll say too, right, like obviously we understand everybody lives with us, so we are a 24/7 operation. So after hours or after business hours, even on the weekends, right, we'll always have a skeleton crew of after hour staff being able to help provide support. We have a handful of numbers and different postings that are all around your residence hall, both on the interior and exterior. So if you do have any more emergent issues, any facilities needs, things like that that are going on in your hall, you're able to either call one of those numbers members, knock on your RA's door, and we'll make sure we provide you someone in a timely manner that's able to respond to that and provide you some help and assistance. So we want to make sure that folks are feeling comfortable at all times of day, right? We understand that some things may stop working in the middle of the night, and we want to be able to have some staff there able to help support you. So don't worry, don't stress. As long as you have those numbers that you'll get from our community flyers and from our RAs, we'll be able to help you no matter the day, no matter the time of the week.
Well, it looks like we are winding down towards the end of some of our questions. As we are kind of closing out right here, I would love to take some time to plug our social media. If you guys want to follow along with what have got going on during our move-in day, we highly encourage you guys to tag us on any social media posts that you guys are making. We love getting to go ahead and see how you guys are decorating those spaces. What does that move-in process look like for you guys? We'd love to see it from the other side, so please feel free to go ahead and tag us there. We will be posting some updates as we are moving through those days to be able to just kind of update you on where we are in the process, should we have any communications that are going out to you guys last minute. So say that there is an unexpected road closure, something happens that we obviously could not plan for it, because the unplannable will always happen. Something will always go wrong. As much as we plan, we've been doing this for 6 months now, getting prepared for this move-in. But inevitably there will be something that changes on the day of. But please feel free to follow us on social media. We will be posting throughout that move-in week to get you guys connected with all of the things happening on campus in this process.
Yeah, absolutely. I think last thing we'll definitely leave you all with as well is, again, we know Texas, especially San Marcos in the middle of August, will get a little hot and spicy up there. So we definitely, please bring water, please bring snacks, all those kinds of things that you need to make sure that you're prioritizing you and your family members' health and safety at the end of the day, right? Again, we'll have some staff, we'll have some folks at the actual stadium that are able to help assist for folks that may need some more medical assistance and need. And again, obviously we'll have our folks in the hall that are able to help support. But really at the end of the day, we want to prioritize yours all safety and health in there as well. So make sure you stay hydrated, all of those kind of things. Again, you'll have some staff to be able to help you at every step of the way. Like Abby said at the beginning, it's really important to make sure that obviously you're following directions of those volunteers, particularly while you're in your vehicle, to make sure we can do some of those things. But yep, bring your waters and we'll make sure we get you all the way back to your hall and set up.
Wonderful. It looks like we are winding down some of these questions and coming to a conclusion of our time together. We may not have mentioned at the beginning, this session is being recorded. So say that we talked a little too fast for you at any point. You want to rewind and listen to us again. You're just really enjoying everything that we have to say. We are going to post this on our social media. So again, we will link that on our YouTube channel. So please feel free to go ahead and check that out, and we will try to get that to you guys as soon as possible. And all of this information that is available on this slide deck, again, is broken down in this move-in guide for you guys. So any information that was given to you guys on this slide deck, pictures, anything is going to be available again in this move-in guide. I highly encourage you guys to take a look at that link that was shown in the chat and get familiar with that. So with that, I think we're going to sign off and say goodbye, and we will see you at UFCU Stadium.
Yes, thank you guys so much for your time and attention. We'll see you here in just about 30 days.
See you.